here in the CADASIL mice extinct because all these small muscle cells die over time. So they reproduce the pathology, but the pathology is associated with sickness. So the conclusion from it, the take-home message is that these two different mutations are associated with distinct ischemic phenotypes in humans with CADASIL and in mouse models of ischemia. So the bottom line is that when you have this correlation in humans, these two families, let's say, go back to the example that I was telling you about putting together the two families with CADASIL. We let them talk for 5 minutes and they realize that one of them is younger. They develop a stroke much younger. They say we do that with my families of mice. I get my cages of mice, which I have, and I put them all together. If they are as smart as these other people, and they talk for 5 minutes, and then we say to, hey, if you have this one mutation, the one that affects signaling, the strokes will be much bigger. So which will the mice rather have? The other. Do we agree?
Yes.
Do the mice agree?
Yes.
They do. Okay. So now, what the information from the mice suggested, and this is where we are going to end the biology, I would say, is that different levels, and here, I feel like this is so good that I don't want to erase it, but what this suggested is that maybe Notch3 signaling is very important for stroke susceptibility. The satellite functioning well and sending the signal fine is very important, and that there is a correlation depending on the amount of the signal. If the signal that is able to send is full, 100%, as good as it can get, do you get CADASIL? Do you get strokes?
You could still have CADASIL, right?
If the signaling is okay.
Then no, because it doesn't have a mutation.
Exactly. So then, what if it doesn't work at all?
And you don't have the Notch3.
Then you don't have Notch3, then you get a stroke. Then you maybe have then you have CADASIL. What if it works a little?
The mutation.
What if it works a little? Not 100%, but halfway through.
You still have CADASIL.
You still have CADASIL, but does it start early or late?
Late.
Late. That is the idea. That is the concept behind what I'm proposing. Okay? That is the idea. And this is when you want to get a better understanding of the biology and you are dealing with grades of activity, it's very good to work that in vitro, in cells, not just in mice. Mice is, we had to do in young, then in old, and a lot of things is going on. But we can do it in cells and we can actually measure Notch signaling. And for that, we just develop some cells. We have some cells that express the receptor, Notch3, or the satellite, and we have some cells that express the ligand. I'm not going to go a lot into the details because it's not very important. I just want to show you what is very interesting is the following. Here, what these bars indicate is the amount of signaling that the satellite is sending out. And this is what we found. If you have, these are those two ways of showing the same. If you have here the wild type or normal with a CADASIL mutation, and you can put these two things together, so the signal is additive, if you will. This is the amount of signaling that you get. If instead you have 2 times the mutation, instead of having 1 copy, you have 2. This is the amount of signaling that you get. And this is for the mutation that is late onset. Look at the amount of signaling that you get from the early onset mutation if you have 1 copy. Look at the amount of signaling if you have 2 copies. And this is for the one way to measure the activity. This is another way of measuring the activity. What do we see? We see the same. We see a grading. The moment that if you have 1 CADASIL mutation, you have a lot of activity. If now you have 2 CADASIL mutations, you have less. If you have the one that is associated with early onset, then you have even less. And then if you have twice that, you have almost nothing. So this fits very nicely with our model. This fits very nicely with our idea. CADASIL mutations. And these essays have been done before by really smart people and have been done before by me, and the results were nothing like this. The results were different. What happened in between is that we got better at it. We designed better methods, we designed more sensitive methods, and now we have very strong evidence indicating that the mutations actually affect what we thought was okay. This is actually not okay. There is a signaling defect associated with the CADASIL mutations, and that signaling defect could determine how early or how late you get the strokes, which means that it is, or it could be at the heart of the problem. It's not where I sleep or I don't, or where I get seizure or I don't. No, it's the stroke. Is the stroke, and that is what is fascinating about it. So that is the conclusion. Depending on the time, I can tell you about GOMS, but I want to talk a little bit. Well, I'm doing so well. I never gone through this talk this fast, and I didn't do this alone either. There are a lot of people involved. It's a team effort. You managed to get yourselves at the very corner, but this work with the mice and the cells and everything was done with, like, my current boss was involved because back then she was a mentor in my dissertation advisory committee. This is the guy that discovered Notch. And Notch mutations don't only cause CADASIL, they cause many other diseases, depending on which Notch, how the mutation is, and things like that. And I trained with him, collaborators at Yale, Massachusetts General Hospital, our fellows in Colombia. We wanted to correlate some of our findings. Well, let's correlate our findings with someone that has people with CADASIL that are very far away, and this is important. And we went to Helsinki in Finland, and now you guys can hear the story. But this is so just to, and now we can have the lights back, please, and then I can wrap up the idea.
Slower lights.
Sorry.
Who went to sleep?
Joe,
Who took it up? Yeah.
when you were talking about 2 copies of the mutation, I didn't understand that.
Oh, it's just a way, when you are measuring, you want to check, let's say the same thing, you are making this cake, and you want to see, well, it came out wrong. What was it? Did I put too much butter or no? So what do you do? Well, you do an experiment in your kitchen where you put no butter, or you put like, 2 ounces, or you put 4 ounces in another cake, or you put 6 ounces on another cake, and you put 8 ounces and this is how you can determine. So if you see, oh, the cake is good only when I put the 6 ounces, and then not when I put 4 or 6, so you can get an idea of that, oh, it's the butter. Okay, so that's really just what I'm telling you, is that we can devise methods to actually determine where the signaling was the culprit, where the signaling was involved, by just putting 2 ounces or 4 ounces or 6 ounces, and you can actually grade the mutation. How many mutated copies of Notch 3 do you have?
Just one. Yeah.
1. And is
And
that
that's
enough?
why I didn't understand when you said 2. It's like,
Well,
yeah.
some people have 2.
Do they?
They do.
If both
They are-
parents have it?
That was the case, yeah. Some people have 2. Okay? So, and in the mice, we can actually do that experimentally, but it's very rare that someone has 2. I think there is one, only one. Yeah, this other one is consanguineous. Cousins got married, it happened. It actually happened in Finland, because in Finland it's also a genetic isolate, and then they got together, and yes, it was a homozygote.
They had 2 of it.
Pretty kid.
2 affecting US got